The square of a number is the number multiplied by itself. For example, 12 squared is 12 times 12, or 144. 3 and 1/10 squared is 3 and 1/10 times 3 and 1/10, which is 9 and 61/100. Some of the common square numbers you can find in the table to the right. The 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100. Those are the first 10 square numbers for the natural numbers. Just as a fun fact, the square of a whole number n is also the sum of the first n odd numbers. For example, the first 3 odd numbers are 1, 3, and 5. If I go 1 plus 3 plus 5, I get 9. 3 squared is also 9. If I add the first 4 odd numbers, that's going to be the same as 4 squared. If I add the first 5 odd numbers, that's going to be the same as 5 squared, and so on. A common error occurs when squaring a negative number, especially when using a calculator. For example, when finding -5 squared, students will often find the -5 squared without the parentheses instead. In terms of what the difference is, well, -5 in parentheses squared means the -5 is being repeated. So -5 times -5. Negative times negative is positive 25. Without the parentheses, order of operation tells you to do the square first. So the -5 squared in this case becomes the negative, and then 5 times 5. So the negative 25. For -5 squared, again, the order of operation starts with the square, then finds the negative. It is the negative of a square number and not a square number in itself. So as a general rule, square numbers are always going to be positive. We can reverse the squaring process to find square roots of numbers. For example, to find the square root of 25, we can ask ourselves, what number when squared is equal to 25? Well, there are 2 possible answers. 5 squared is equal to 25, so 5 is a square root of 25. And as we just saw, -5 in parentheses squared is equal to 25, so -5 is also a square root of 25. All right, so specifically, the number b is a square root of a if b squared is equal to a. So for another example, 4 is the square root of 16, since 4 squared is equal to 16. Likewise, -4 is also the square root of 16, since parentheses -4 squared is equal to 16 as well. In general, every positive number has 2 square roots. One positive, one negative. So let's find the square roots of these numbers. And this is where knowing your squares comes in handy. So the square root of 100, what squared is equal to 100? Well, 10 times 10 is... I know that 10 times 10 is 100. -10 times -10 is 100. If I want to find the square root of 81, well, 9 times 9 is 81, so 9 is a square root, and -9 is a square root. 36 over 25, well, 36 is 6 and -6. The 25, the square root of that is 5 and -5. So we have this positive 6/5 and negative 6/5. The radical symbol is called, well, the square root symbol there is called the radical symbol and is used to indicate a square root. When you have a number called the radicand inside the radical symbol, we have a radical expression. So some examples of radical expressions are the square root of 36, square root of 64, square root of 100, square root of 81, and so on. So let's evaluate each square root. You can just kind of note that this symbol here, the square root itself is the positive square root. If there's a negative in front of it, then it's the negative square root. So part A, the square root of 81 is 9. So just 9, not -9. Square root of the positive square root of 81 is 9. The negative square root of 49 is -7. since negative 7 times negative 7 is 49. The positive square root of 4/9, well, that would be the positive square root of 2 divided by 3. And then in general, assume that m is positive. The square root of m squared is m.